I did 7 trips to Iraq, 2 to Afghanistan.
You got me in Jersey. You ran the nuclear reactor. What do people not understand about the consequences of war?
That's why there's 22 veterans killing themselves every day.
It brings guys together that could share those stories that normally they wouldn't share.
There you go, stay with them!
I joined when I was 17. My mom had to sign the paperwork for me to go.
When I talk about it, it gives me goosebumps.
For Carl's cancer treatment.
If I hadn't joined the military, I would have wound up in jail or I would be dead now.
The charge is my fire, baby.
They don't realize how good they have it here.
Kill or be killed, make a decision, and then it's at the end, that's when it all kind of just floods on you.
Good afternoon, guys. Quite often, our servicemen and women who have fought for America overseas come home transformed, quite often with disabilities like post-traumatic stress disorder. Today's video is about a solution to that. Panthers, Warriors, hockey. We're not gonna go here, we're gonna go to the practice rink to meet a group of guys, all veterans who have fought overseas for us, to get insight on how they look at the country, their experiences, and what we can learn from them.
Just in time.
All right, here we are with Nicholas. Nicholas, you're in charge of this club, right?
Yes, sir, yeah.
You got me in Jersey.
Yeah, we had an extra one, dude, so you can't really be a part of it and not look the part, you know what I mean?
All right, I already got the hat.
Yeah, you got the hat, dude.
Like in his first game. There we go. No gear though. It's pretty
How's it
big.
feel, though?
Oh, I love it, man. I grew up playing hockey.
So our goalie over there, Ed Hickey, in the corner, he was a aircraft pilot in Desert Storm. Ed! Hickey! See, he's deaf from flying planes. Hickey! Wave hi! Mr. Eric J., he was a Marine. Matt Childress over there, he was a Navy corpsman.
How about the guy to the right of him?
Carl has cancer now, so that's why he's not suited up to play. He's hoping to come to Pittsburgh with us next week, though, so that's pretty amazing. Adam Lamb, and he's been playing with us for a long time. He was a Marine. He's a disabled vet also.
When you say disabled can mean post-traumatic stress disorder. It can mean any mental issues that come with fighting.
A lot of us been, blown up or shot at, or, like my buddy Mike Heller over there, he has a Purple Heart, which is like, it's a pretty serious thing to get that.
Most of you guys fought in Afghanistan or Iraq or both?
Iraq, Afghanistan. We even have one guy that he was in Vietnam era. He's 74 years old. Some of these guys don't leave the house, and this is the only reason that they come out. I've seen a lot of people change from, come out of their shell where, they were going to kill themselves.
Hockey in itself is just a brotherhood, no matter where you go, any place. I've lived in 4 different states. You go to a rink, you set your bag down, you already have a brotherhood. This takes it to the next level. Everybody's been through basic. Everybody's been through, I won't say bad words, but everybody's been through the same things. So the brotherhood is...
Hockey's a family.
Military was a family, now hockey's the family. Fair to say?
Yep.
All right, guys, first time skating in many of years. There we go.
Anybody else in the room? In the lockers? I don't know if he knows how much it is yet, but we got him 6,000.
For Carl's cancer treatment.
Gotta give kudos to Wayne, who organized the whole thing. Ryan Lomberg, who's a freaking rock star, and all you guys that freaking did what you guys did to help Carl.
And I'm not getting new pants, all right?
We're starting off with a little practice, then I believe we got a scrimmage.
He's gonna dump the puck in. You have the 2 D-men here and here.
Adam.
There you go, stay with them!
You were in the armed services?
U.S. Navy Pearl Harbor, submarines.
Oh, wow. How was that?
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of intensity. It's an 18-hour day on the submarine. It's not a 24-hour day. So it's non-stop. You go out for 6 months, you come back, a few months off, and you go back again. I ran the nuclear reactor. So
you ran the nuclear reactor?
Yeah, on the subs. So it was a lot of training, a lot of drills.
How'd that one feel in the head?
No, not good.
You got a pretty hard one to the head. Shook it off. How long you been doing this?
I've been with the program since it started.
What do you get out of doing it?
It saved my life, dude, honestly.
Saved your life?
Yeah. I've had a tough time as far as, deaths in my family the last couple years. All these guys have basically checked on me. He's been my battle buddy right here. He's helped me a lot, so I love it. It charges my fire, baby.
I keep seeing new faces. That's great. I give a big tap to everyone that's showing up to.
I want to thank all you guys once again.
Of course, Carl.
I know I'm going to have some really rough days. We'll find out tomorrow if they're going to do surgery on my arm. If I do, I lose mobility. So I want to thank you guys for everything.
Of course, man.
So I just want to get back out on the ice. That's all I want to do.
Hi, buddy. How are you?
You got a good slap shot? Nice. You're co-founder, general manager, and support for the guys.
Yeah, I'm the guy that makes sure there's beverages after the practice.
How many guys?
Well, we have now, you know what, we started with the nucleus, and we've got over 60 guys on the roster. I'm a civilian. I did not sign on the dotted line. These guys all did.
Did you serve overseas?
I was in Tikrit, Iraq, Mount Sinjar, and Talafar during the surge.
What do people not understand about the consequences of war?
Well, you go over there, you don't know what to expect, and then you experience it. And what that does is it changes you in your foundation. For the soldiers that had to go bust down doors during the surge, because that's where I was in. It was like they sent in like over 100,000 soldiers in a real short period of time. During that time frame, people were literally busting down doors and just searching for insurgents, people with guns.
Right.
And those are the ones who had to on the fly, kill or be killed, make a decision. And sometimes it's the right decision, sometimes it's wrong, but you don't know what to expect when you're running into a door and then people are panicking.
Right.
So some people, have to make that decision and shoot somebody, or it's very overwhelming after the fact. Because when you're there, you're programmed as a soldier. You're just carry on day by day. You just count one last day on your deployment till the end, and then it's at the end when you're back and you're safe. That's when it all kind of just floods on you. It took me like 5 years to post-military to fully process it. Some of it was a lot of self-work, and all the things they teach soldiers now to prevent suicide and whatnot. And it's just about maintaining your level of anxiety, because that's kind of like PTSD is. It's just like a constant state of anxiety.
Do you still have PTSD? Does it ever go away? I don't.
Noises, sudden loud noises. I can feel my adrenaline just surge. But then it's like you gotta go ahead and just do 30 seconds to 60 seconds of deep breathing, and then it goes away. Getting over PTSD is managing the new you. Even people who don't see any combat come back from combat changed, and I feel that those who don't or are not affected are just in their own sense emotionally either not present or just immature, and they don't really grasp certain things, so it doesn't affect them as much. But those who are more aware and question decisions and are forced to make those decisions,
right,
are the ones who have more of a weight on them at the end.
That's what this program does. It brings guys together that could share those stories that normally they wouldn't share. Like a Vietnam veteran didn't talk about what happened with his family. They wouldn't understand. Now we, as a society, instead of shock treatment, we're treating PTSD with things like hockey.
It's what everybody wants, is that community, getting together with friends.
Some people don't understand. They don't feel that way. They disrespect guys that laid their life. It's like law enforcement. they're heroes.
Yeah.
You know, just the fact that they signed on the
one
line.
point I'd like to make too is like there's a lot of say policy I don't agree with, right? That the federal government might do, but it doesn't mean I don't support any of the troops, or the people that have sacrificed their lives. So to me, those are two separate things.
Absolutely.
And
these guys don't have a choice, right? They don't have a choice. Their commander-in-chief is whoever's the president, right? We have a choice.
I'll be a goalie.
Yeah. You're gonna be a goalie?
Yes.
Okay. It's your dad.
My dad likes to be a hockey player.
Yeah, this is my first practice with the Warriors.
Oh, great. How was it?
It was awesome. It's really awesome. You know, I've been looking for a community for me, since I got out.
When did you return to the States?
I served from 2002 to 2007.
Okay.
I was stationed in Germany. Spent a little over 2 years in Iraq.
What did that experience teach you?
Kind of growing up, I fell out in the wrong crowd and stuff, and I always say that if I hadn't joined the military, I would have wound up in jail or I would be dead now, And for me, it was the discipline. It kind of forced me to grow up, forced me to take responsibility for myself.
Okay.
And it taught me a lot of life skills. Iraq was it was tough, at times, as you expect.
Right.
But it's an experience I wouldn't trade for the world, because it's one of those things that it definitely helps make the person, makes who you are today,
He's turning Amish. You didn't hear that?
Yeah, no. I do.
You
When I let
look
it
like
grow,
you could be Amish.
when I let it grow, it goes.
You look like
I
you
got
could
the
be
hat and
Amish. You
everything.
just get the little hat and a buggy. This is all I can tell you about the Panthers Warriors. So hockey is a very small community, and then when you take it and you make it all military, when I talk about it, it gives me goosebumps. I've only been here like a year. Max and myself stayed at his house.
How's Nick's cooking?
We had pizza.
Honestly. Paul, where'd you serve?
Everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
Everywhere under the sun.
Yeah, I did quite a few deployments. So I did 7 trips to Iraq, 2 to Afghanistan.
How do you integrate back after 7 deployments? Was that tough, or how does that process go for someone that doesn't know, like myself?
Was the military or just coming back? Because when you come back, you're at your unit and everybody's just normal, right? But it's when you're out of the military, that's when I don't want to say kind of messes with guys, but a lot of guys have a hard time to adapt,
Why? Because nobody understands you, or what?
Different sense of humor. We have our own language in the military and stuff like that. So what's really comical to a group of guys like this, you'd go to say that out at a party and everybody's going to be like, what the hell is wrong with this guy?
Right. What is the humor? Is it really dark humor? Or
Yeah,
what is
it's
it?
just really dark humor.
Okay.
So.
Most people can't handle?
Yeah.
It's not politically correct?
It's not at all. Yeah. It's the locker room talk, as they would call it, except it's taking it to the extreme.
So, okay, how does it feel coming back to the U.S. after spending so much time out of it? You do see it differently, or?
I feel like it's almost like an ungrateful society because of the fact that they don't realize how good they have it here. Even when we were over there and we're catered to on every aspect humanly possible, it's still a dump to stay in, People want to talk about hard times here in the States. It's like, buddy, your worst day is 1,000 times better than some of the people that I've ran into over there, It's nice having the aspect, the aspect of freedom over here, but then you lose out on that camaraderie and that brotherhood that you had over there, because it's you're all in the same fight type thing, and it's, there's no racism or anything that goes on. Everybody's just green. So it's you judge the person by the capabilities and quality of said individual,
Right, because the military is people from all over the country, a lot of different backgrounds,
yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So you just have to get along.
Yeah, so, I remember me and one guy, we didn't get along very well, and we just happened to be 2 different ethnicities, and I remember when he got hit, I was the first guy volunteering to take him out. Mostly, I just wanted to tell him how much I hated him the entire route, but it was just to prove to him, I would do anything for you regardless, so. But I would love to sit there and take anybody from this country that complains about anything, and I would happily fly him over there for a week, and I guarantee after 24 hours he'd be like, I want to go home.
Dr. Sachs, this is our buddy Peter.
Hey, Peter. Dr. Sachs.
Yeah, hey, I'm Matt
Okay, medical doctor?
Psychologist.
Psychologist.
Dr. Sachs has been here since the beginning with us. I met him actually, unfortunately,
At Gabe's Memorial.
At Gabe's Memorial, which was a mutual friend of both of us. So I didn't know him prior to any of this. And
Gabe was the Gabe Accardi, Nick Butterworth, and Gary Ross. You guys were the 3 co-founders.
Gabe suffered from he had other demons. He had addiction, and He ended up ODing the day before we got our affiliation with the Panthers. That's kind of unusual, you know what I mean? It's a great thing for us, but it's unusual for a lot of these veteran teams to get the backing of the NHL team. The whole military top end is all West Point graduates and military members.
The Panthers brass.
The whole top end of the Panthers, even the owner, you know, Vinny Viola was in the 101st Airborne, and that's why
That's why at the games you have those salute to veterans.
Well, yeah, and a lot of teams do that now because it's good, you know what I mean?
Even the Panthers crest actually is reminiscent of
the 101st Airborne, which is who Vinny Viola served for. It's a concept of the U.S. Army uniform. When you look at the patches on the shoulders and the tabs,
you have a little different style with Lamborghini.
It's a little different.
This is not.
Is that your man crush? Is that your man crush, Nick?
No, actually, Lomberg is an honorary Panther warrior. He comes out and donates his time to us in the off season. And
Wayne was just texting with him a minute ago.
You're a psychologist.
That's right, yeah.
Post-traumatic stress disorder. Yep. Someone like me, I have very little understanding of it.
Sure.
But the basics are someone goes through a traumatic experience.
Yep.
It stays with them in their subconscious, and it doesn't go away until what, or how do they cope with it?
Where post-traumatic stress comes in is basically any life-threatening event, like a car accident for a civilian or for military. You could develop PTSD, your life flashes before your eyes, all that. That's a potential traumatic event. People shooting at you every day, those are multiple potential traumatic events.
So they sort of accumulate.
They can accumulate.
Okay.
I mean, for some guys, you can just have that one moment, like roadside bomb. Some people go through like a totally fine deployment, and then they just have that one event, and that's enough.
A lot of it is that you go through the wars where it's a lot of mundane, you know, just boring stuff. You feel like God, you're rolling in a turret and you got a 50 cal and everything, and then you get hit by an IED and you feel like you're the size of an ant, you know what I mean? And there's nothing, you feel helpless and shit, and then 2 minutes later there's nothing going on again, and it's just, you know, you're trying to reflect on what the hell just happened.
You go back to the base and get dinner, right?
Well, yeah, you go get dinner and then you go to bed and you get up and go do it again the next day. I mean, I did convoy security for KBR civilians and for TCN's Third Country Nationals, so we had 4 Hummers escorting 20 semis every day. My truck got blown up by an IED. I gave my gunner a ride to the medic tent to get looked over, but we didn't even think to, you know, we're like, we're good, you know what I mean? We didn't even think about it, and here he is. He's got to go.
See, if I got run over right now, that could be a traumatic event. PTSD is a little bit more flashy. It gets a little bit more press. The reality is, from a statistical perspective, a veteran, just, you know, touching Nick because he's here, a veteran is more likely to develop depression than they are PTSD.
Guys not deploying or this or that, or, you know, just signing that dotted line, which is the most amazing thing anyone could do, is sign the dotted line.
What is the feeling you get by signing the dotted line?
You're putting something bigger than yourself, you know, you're putting everything that's in front of yourself, you know, so that, you know, you're making an ultimate sacrifice that you may go to war. I joined when I was 17. My mom had to sign the paperwork for me to go, you know what I mean? I dropped out of high school and went to the Army.
I didn't even know you could enter the Army at 17.
You have to get parental permission.
Yeah.
What's the earliest, 17?
17, yeah.
Okay.
I got in at 17 and I was gone. So, I mean, you know, that's a pretty young age. It's a kid, baby. I couldn't even buy drinks when I got back from Iraq because I wasn't even 21 yet. But it's what I was getting at was that one of the biggest kickers is that just leaving the military, if you did 20 years, 5 years, 4 years, or this or that, when you leave that brotherhood, that takes a toll on you. That can cause major depression just from not being in that regiment. Yeah. So that's the biggest, hardest thing is for us veterans is our transition phase. A lot of us go off the rails.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's
100%.
That's why they're
like, how do you go from being, say, in a group like this abroad to going home to the grocery store, living in an apartment alone?
Well, that's the problem.
Having no structure, having no one checking in on you.
It's very hard to control yourself like that, and a lot of us go off. You know, that's why there's 22 veterans killing themselves every day, and that's
22 a day.
22 a day. That's the national average. I've had a lot of friends that, you know, I get calls in the middle of the night waking me up saying, dude, I think I'm going to blow my head off. And I'm like, you know, I got to get up at 4 a.m. and try. We're there for him, you know what I mean? I'll answer that phone. And it just happened to me 2 weeks ago. My buddy's actually he lives in Kansas. He's actually in Miami now doing, you know, alcohol treatment, trying to get himself sober and better and stuff.
He's in a facility.
Yep.
So, doctor, do a lot of addiction habits start after this experience when they come home, or?
Well, I can answer that one.
Yeah, you go and then I'll go.
They do, because my experience is I started gambling a lot. I did a lot of, different drugs and this and that, but really is what we're trying to do is we're trying to chase that adrenaline rush. So, when you're feeling bombs and shockwaves and you're in war, your adrenaline's pumping all the time, and so that's why we go ride Harleys at 100 or ride our motorcycles at 120 and jump out of planes and gamble our money away and do different drugs and this and that, because we're trying to feed that adrenaline. It's super hard. That's one of the things that causes the depression and everything, because you're not getting that adrenaline rush anymore.
So that is almost a good thing when you're in war, not like what's happening, but your adrenaline rush, you become addicted to it.
Yes, you do.
It's good in the moment.
It's great, and it feels awesome, and you almost get addicted to it. I always heard when I was a kid that you'll never feel any drug like war, and I never understood what that meant until I was in war and came home, and then you actually look back and you're like, damn, like I fucking missed that shockwave going through my body. Like, it's weird, you know what I mean? And it's not right, but we chase that adrenaline rush any other way. That's why hockey is such a great sport. Even when I'm lacing up my skates, my blood pressure's just pumping like 114, just because I know I'm going out there and the adrenaline gets going, and that's how, like, literally, there's no clinical study on it, but I can tell you as a veteran that has been a part of Warrior hockey since 2013 and helping develop this team, like, the adrenaline is there all the time, and it's like we go to these tournaments and we fight these battles, i.e. together. So it's like we're deploying again. So like all these guys, it don't matter what branch we're in, we're deploying to these tournaments as a unit, and we're going here, we hang out as a unit, we win or we lose as a unit, and it makes the bonds unbreakable. And that's why we have Dr. Sass, because he used to work at the VA as a psychiatrist, and we're not sitting down at his office and he's giving us he's guiding us through life and helping us out, making sure that we don't blow our heads off, which is he's donating his time. He doesn't have to be here.
You're donating right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm one of the 2 or 3 civilians that hang out. I mean, I've worked with military populations my whole career, but I never served.
But he gets us. That's the problem. He gets us.
So
I've always there to answer a call.
I've worked with veterans. I worked with active duty folks, and like exactly the part you're talking about, the time when people either retire voluntarily or they get sat down because of the bureaucracy, or sometimes they did something wrong. They got 2 DUIs, you get kicked out, 3 DUIs, whatever. But you go from, I don't think this is too big a stretch to understand. You go from a very structured life, for better and for worse. The military is very structured. You literally are told what the uniform of the day is. You're told what time to be where. This is your job, hold your gun this way, do this. Some people are in for 5 years, some people are in for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and it becomes a way of life. That is a part of who you are. And if that gets taken away from you, even if it wasn't really taken away, like you get into a car accident and they tell you, okay, you've got a disc problem. You'll keep your rank, you'll keep everything, but still that can be a loss of...
You lose your purpose, right?
You lose your purpose, you lose your sense of identity.
That's the best way to describe it.
And then you're not, and then you leave, like if for some reason then you leave that town, now you're not even around
the military base,
or those guys that you were friends with. And so like that's part of what we're doing here is recreating a community. Like this is as important, if not more important, than what we're doing on the ice.
We have
like
our
this.
uniforms, which we respect just like our uniforms in the military, but we all have one now. You know what I'm saying?
In a way, you're dressing up all together in the locker room with the same uniform. Yeah.
Going to the battle together.
When you're there, you're sweating, you're getting hurt, you're dragging your buddies off the ice,
the locker room stinks just like being in a Humvee, I'm sure it does,
just right? Like Iraq, yep. It stinks just like Iraq. It's quite unfortunate, but the reason that we have to even make these is because it's hard to rely on the VA. You know what I'm saying? Like, the VA doesn't take the best care of the veterans. And that's been like that. It's known, you know what I mean? It's hard, and you can attest to this. The VA really doesn't do the best job of taking care of us. They will throw pills at us. I was on blood pressure medicine to try and help with my PTSD so that I'm, you know what I mean, like to help not be elevated. They'll feed you all these pills, and I wasn't even working with real psychiatrists. I was working with like med students. So I was just a guinea pig in their in their little game of trying to figure out medical school, which I don't agree with. So, I mean, as of now, like, I don't take any of the psychiatric medicine, and I smoke medical marijuana, and I play ice hockey, and I hang out with the boys, and that's what keeps me driving on, is knowing that I gotta set something up for these guys or help, you know. But it's not like the VA helps us out, where they're not flipping the bill for any of this, which they really could. They really should, because this is recreational therapy.
It is 100%. By working in the VA for many years, you think the VA could do more things like this versus the pills?
That's why you ain't working at the VA no more.
Yeah. So I've worked in 5 or 6 different VAs. They're all different. I worked at one VA that I did work with a rec therapist. I worked on a team that had psychiatry, psychology, MDs, PhDs, rec therapists, and all ideas were like, what can we do? Let's get the guys to do this. It was a PTSD program in California. I started at the VA 2003, 2004, so it's almost 20 years. One thing that I've learned, I mean, I've been playing hockey since I was 10. I could know you as a human being in a different way from playing with you. Like, it's one thing for you to say to me, I'm a reliable guy. Yeah. You can count on me. You need anything, you call me up. But it's another thing to see you busting your ass, coming back on a 3-on-1, back check. Like there's something about the proof in the pudding. And I feel like there's an overlap there with the military. Like, I could tell you, bro, I got your back. Like, anything happens in a fire. But then when the bullets start flying, like, shit happens, you see somebody's true character.
All right, guys, thanks for coming along on that journey with the Warrior Panthers. They are an organization, a nonprofit that is taking donations. Their ice time is quite expensive, I believe $3.50 an hour. They have travel costs, uniforms, all these things. All money goes directly to team costs. So if you want to leave some money for these veterans that are playing hockey, finding the release through the puck, link is down below. And lastly, what I felt the most out of this was, you know, everyone's been through a similar experience, and they all have each other, and the camaraderie and community is very, very important for mental health and a happy life. Thanks for coming along. Until the next one.